Alright, Diablo players, we got another tier list to go over. This tier list is specifically going to cover the best build in the entire game for speed farming, the new blue chaos items. These are the new chaos uniques coming out in season 10, and you definitely want to run a fast build to acquire these uniques, as they really only drop specifically from the Infernal Hordes, which is the brand new mode. And I wanted to put a video together that doesn't go over the pit tier for the best build, but specifically to farm the brand new items that you want in every single build. If you don't know what a chaos unique is, I highly recommend you guys to check out my video that goes over all of the rules and explains where to farm them. But basically, to sum that video up, in terms of the farming location, it's 100% the Infernal Hordes. You need to acquire a certain amount of Aether to actually get to the boss, and then you kill the boss and he drops 1 to 3. Now, you can technically get these by doing layer bosses and other forms of content, but the most guaranteed and consistent way is Tormented 4 Infernal Hordes. So you want to farm this, and I wanted to put together a video guide that goes over some of the best builds for every single class. So as far as it goes, pretty much my recommendations are the Sorc and the Necro in like the top tier, but all the other builds, there is something for almost every single build to be very, very good. So this is mainly highlighting what skills versus kind of the class, although most of the classes you can farm this content pretty easy. You don't really need that much damage, so keep in mind this is not a pit pushing tier list. Just wanted to get that out of the way. If that's what you're looking for, that video is already there. Just look up like best class season 10 pit push, because this one is focusing in on, again, the brand new blue chaos items. So for starters, I want to go give you guys some gameplay. Obviously, I've been talking about that Tornado Necromancer. Now, straight up, guys, it did receive some massive nerfs in the damage and duration department, but the reason why it is so good, there is also a limit. You can only have 10, but trust me, 10 is more than enough. This build will just delete everything before it even walks out. It's already dead. If you want to solo carry 4 players, there's no other build, not even close to this. And in second place over here, I'm going to give you guys some gameplay of this, because I actually have all the gameplay recorded for the most part, except for the Barb, which I will talk about in a moment here. So as far as the Fireball Sorc, I put this in number 2. The Fireball Sorc is so good, and that is because one of the enchantments that you can get is when you delete an enemy with a fireball, it will spawn another fireball. So you just get these awesome chain domino reactions of just this dies, this dies, this. It's really cool. If you haven't played Fireball ever, this is definitely the time, as this is one of the top tier builds. Just, again, delete monsters as fast as possible to get as much Aether as possible, because there's other builds like the Hoda Barb, which absolutely suffer in the new mode, unless, of course, you do the auto shout version. So those are the top 2 builds, and again, those are the 2 builds that I put in like the mega S tier here, and then everything else is just a little bit below. And don't let this discourage you, they actually are very similar in somewhat of a speed. It's not like they're like miles behind or anything like that, but I would say there's not anything that's close to the Bone Storm. But like I said, it's not the best pit pushing build now because it got some nerfs. Whereas Fireball, yeah, you could probably do 100 with that. With the new Bone Storm, it will be very, very difficult with the tornadoes. But yeah, Fireball Sorc definitely going to be a huge recommendation. And next up, it plays actually straight up exactly the same as the Bone Storm. This is going to be the Raven's Druid. Now, I do have build guides, and I'll try to link all of the build guides in the pinned or the link in the bio. You can check that out as well. But basically, the Ravens over here is basically the Tornado Necromancer. However, the way it works is a lot slower. It feels like the tornadoes just generate way faster, and that is because the breakpoints on attack speed are just crazy broken on the Necromancer. And they didn't really mention anything about like scaling the attack speed. In fact, if you guys didn't know, the reason why they actually have to limit their tornadoes is because it ticks so much that it causes game lag, and so they had to limit their tornadoes. Tornadoes is literally the same as Druid, but Druids is just like worse by a small amount. Now, as far as pushing though, I will say that Druid Ravens may actually overtake Bone Storm, but again, this video is focused in on, again, best speed build to farm the brand new items. The next build, I actually don't have video gameplay of it myself, so I'm going to go ahead and play some gameplay by Rob over here, so shoutouts to him. But he has this really cool AFK farming barbarian build where it automatically casts your shouts. This is part of the brand new Season 10 perks. It's called Deafening Chorus. So the equipped shouts automatically get casted, and what it does is you don't even need to do anything. You could literally be AFK. So if that's your kind of game plan, feel free to go ahead and check out that one. That is by far like the ultimate barbarian build, because originally when I was putting this list together, I felt like Barb was really bad because, well, everything is pretty much melee weapon throw. Comparing to any of the other offerings, it's just miles behind, right? But again, the auto shout barbarian will definitely be something that will be kind of cool. But also, I want to let you guys know that if you do go AFK, the game will kick you at some point. One way that you can get around this is if you open up your Paragon board, the game will not kick you. So hey, do that unless they patch that, and if they do, I'll let you guys know. But that's the auto shout barbarian build. Now the next one over here, I didn't have an icon for it, but this is going to be the evade SpiritBorn. Let me go ahead and play the SpiritBorn over here. So this one, I'm going to give you guys a warning on this one in particular, and the reason why I want to give you guys kind of a slight warning on this is it requires insane, and I mean insane amount of cooldown reduction. If you do not have this, this build does not function, but this is pretty much the top tier build for SpiritBorn in terms of speed. If you guys have ever played it before the nerf, it's basically the same thing, but it's nerfed. If you guys didn't know why it got nerfed, it's because it was actually causing server instability, kind of like the Tornado Necromancer. So all you're really doing is stacking a lot of like the evade CDR, and there is some new perks that kind of help out with it, but for the most part, this is definitely going to be a build where as good as it pretty much is a pretty solid build. Again, you can go by pretty fast. It has incredibly like strict gear requirements. So if you're like a casual gamer dad, you know, I only got 2 hours to play before work the next day, I feel you on that. Probably not look at this build, okay? The builds that I would recommend if you're like one of the more chill players, like you don't have time to grind, I get it. Fireball is my #1 recommendation, by the way. The reason why I'm recommending this, easy to gear, the tankiest, the Sorc is actually a broken tanky. It's like 10 to 20 times tankier than all the classes in the entire game right now with the new mana shield. Fireball is an absolute, just so much better. This one requires too much gear requirements to recommend, but I know there's players who are like, hey dude, I don't care, as long as you can put in the time, that's what I would recommend. So then, again, that's supposed to facilitate the SpiritBorn. Now, Rogue over here, you can see I didn't really put a S here for the Rogue or even in an A tier build. As fast as the Rogue class should be, you're kind of confined in this smaller area. And I was trying to like put together like what would actually make a good speed Rogue build, where Dance of Knives is okay. It has this thing where sometimes you got to kill enemies in a certain area, and there's these new like portals, if you guys didn't know, in here where you have to move in a certain area, and it just becomes a clunky like thing where you got to stop and you got to recast your stuff. It's as much as I think it's like an okay build, and I kind of wanted to put it, I basically put it in B tier. The reason why I have this as the icon is because you actually run a poison trap variant of it with the Scoundrel's Leathers for the Dance of Knives Rogue, but it's got a lot of like annoying things that you have to like stay in a certain area or do X, Y, and Z, and then you have to click on it, and then you have to re-snapshot your imbue and all of the other bonuses. It's just not what I would consider smooth gameplay, so I had to bump it down. But like, if we're talking about just raw gameplay, and if you're playing in a group, there is also this laser lightning thing. You might see it in the gameplay eventually, but like there's this laser that goes by, and if it tags you, it knocks you. And so like with, again, the spinning around, sometimes it just becomes more of a hassle because you have to stop and you have to warp in these portals. Oh, I think this is it right here, where like, again, there's like this laser. Yeah, here it is. This is perfect. Okay, great. So like, again, you have to go into very specific areas, and again, it's just annoying because you'll get stunned, and because you want to continue moving as much as possible with it. I just had to bump it down. But you can play, however, Flurry, and Flurry is always going to be a relatively fast build. It's kind of like the Shred Druid, and I put it basically tied with it. I'll also put Hydra in A tier. Hydra, you guys already seen it. But as far as Flurry goes, this is probably my #1 recommendation if I was to recommend you guys a Rogue build that can, you know, go in fast. You're just teleporting. There is a bunch of extra bonus damage, and there's a thing where you get like 150x damage, but it makes it so you can't regen energy, but you're going to get your energy off lucky hit, and you want to actually spend your HP anyways, so you can run Undying or other things to regen your HP to facilitate your resource costs. So I would probably say the better Rogue build choice would probably be maybe Flurry. Pen Shot, and all of the new rogue stuff is all about like this orphan maker thing, and it's like the worst thing ever. They have this new mode where you want to kill things as fast as possible, but then they add a reload mechanic which gives you big DPS, but then like every single shot that you take, you gotta reload. So it's like, it is pretty bad unless you want to kind of play like back in the days with MMOs where you'd make a train of monsters and then you would just run around and they would chase you and then you just shoot once. It's kind of an interesting playstyle, but I want to say that it's like, if you want to play like that, I'd just put it a lot lower. But if you're not running Unmaker and you're just running like, let's say like the Shadow Clone or something like that, it is actually not too bad, but there isn't a rogue build that I felt like was really strong. So it might be kind of like one of the weaker classes, to be completely honest with you guys. If I had to put one class in the very last spot, I would put it over here. Oops. Oh, this is, where is it? This one over here. So, I would put it like dead last as far as it goes in terms of speed farming the new uniques, unless you have a lot of movement speed, which the rogue can get. So this is kind of an issue with a lot of builds in the next upcoming season, is that there's a lot of builds that you're not going to get movement speed in general because you need to run all of the chaos uniques and a lot of the spots that would normally give you movement speed, like the boots. However, rogue does have this advantage where like you do get a lot of flat movement speed just based off of other conditions, like if you crit or if you are just moving around, there's like a free extra bonus passive. So like for that reason, like it's a little bit better, but it's like barely, it's towards like the bottom of A tier and the top of B tier in terms of like, it's like barely there. But other things that I could recommend, just to give you guys other things to quickly think about, like you can play Ice Shards, you can play the Chain Lightning, you can play any variant of Lightning Druid. Whether you want to do some sort of Cataclysm or Boulder Druid, these all require you to get in range, whereas these other ones, you're just kind of throwing these down and it's just much faster. I started trying to build some of the other things, but like past A tier, I'll be real, no one really cares about it, because if we're doing a best list, we shouldn't even really look at B tier. But there is one build at least for every single class over here, and once again, my highest recommendation is the Fireball Sorc over the Necromancer, because it's just way tankier. The Necromancer, unfortunately, can't really push either, so again, that's why I consider Necromancer S tier and the best hands down for that mode, but it just kind of limits you on how much damage you can output when you want to do other forms of content in the game. So there it is, guys. That is the best tier list for farming, of course, the brand new Blue Chaos items. And if you want to learn more about this and you're like, what the heck is this? Yeah, check out that video because I explain how it works, as you definitely will need to be up to date on it. Otherwise, you may make some mistakes in your build, and I don't want you guys to do that. So watch that video. It'll help you guys out a ton. But yeah, these brand new Chaos uniques are going to be a blast to play. But anyways, take care, Diablo gamers, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And check out the pin. I'll put a bunch of different build guides if I do have them. I don't have all of them. Like I said, I have to give credit to Rob for the AFK one. That one is a really cool idea. I love that one. But anyways, take care, gamers, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.